Welcome back to Where Robins Walk. What a totally nuts game that was. Squirrels and excellent debuts to discuss on this week's episode. Hope you're well. 20 more minutes on Bristol City Chat, and we've got to start, of course, with the man of the match. Giving credit, of course, to Squirrel Regis. Absolutely fantastic. What a debut. But, of course, it's Hovath that we talk about on this particular episode. We've got Del and Liam Fresh back from the MKM to give us their views on, what was that? Who saw this one coming, given the Derby performance as well? Plus, also this week, we're coming up to letter O in our A to Z. Who gets in there for you? We're also talking about Valentine's Day and who was the first ever player you fell in love with as a young Bristol City fan? And we're rating the transfer window as well and giving it a grade. We'll gloss over that one maybe quickly a bit later on. But first of all, let's focus on the positives. Del, that was some performance, wasn't it? Who saw that one coming? Did you?
No. To be honest, I usually go on like YouTube on the night before and watch all these championship predictions, and no one tipped us to win. Everybody tipped Hull to win. To be honest, after the Derby game, I think we were all looking for a performance, but to get the performance and the win was really, really good. And the positive was yesterday the fact that when we went a goal down after against the run and play, you would have thought, our heads might have dropped. We might have the same scenario as what happened on Friday. But the guys carried on, and they carried on. They looked the goal went completely against run and play. We got 2 quick goals, and it was comfortable really at 3-1 until Vitek's mistake, and then it obviously was a little bit of pressure, and then with the added home time thanks to the squirrel, but we saw it through, and fantastic. And what was really pleasing was everybody looked really committed yesterday, really high intensity. With the ball and without the ball, and it was a really, really good win. Fantastic win.
Super. And can we just, before we get onto the main players here, Liam, let's give a shout out to Scott Twine a little bit, shall we? Because he does get a lot of detractors online, and I don't know if you're going to join in, maybe dispute this, but a good performance from him yesterday.
Yeah, he's got it in him. Don't get me wrong. You look at his, again, you look at people that stat pad, and I'm not one for it, but I did see a quote about him not so long ago that he's been involved in a goal or assist in 1 in 2 games, I think it was, every other game. So he's doing something right this season because he's always involved with things we do. As I've said in previous podcasts, and they'll probably think the same. The biggest thing about him is the way he tries to buy free kicks all the time. If he could take that, throwing himself on the floor and moaning at the referee like he does, out of his game, he'd be a hell of a lot better. But yesterday was one of his better performances. But you have seen him in games this season where you don't even realise he's playing. So again, it's just like Anis used to be. It's a consistency thing with him. If he can find consistency, he'll be one of the best 10s in the league. Yeah. But yesterday was definitely the pass for Reese's goal in the second half was superb.
Absolutely sublime, yeah.
But it wasn't just that, though. It was everything about that goal. It was Randall winning the ball. It was Morsey with the quick pass into Twine. And then you watch Horvat with the run. He's run across Twine into the space, which has dragged the defender out with him to have that ability to make the space for Twine to play that pass. So it was a great team goal, but the assist was superb.
Absolutely. Right, let's focus on the main man then, shall we? The man on our thumbnail here. One stream in Bristol, Del says he came in, he took Anis's place and Viner's number, and then he ran the show on his debut. He is going to be truly sick in the head. Love that from one stream in Bristol, brilliant. Yeah, just how good is your new man?
Well, I didn't go back to work yesterday. My lad went up. He went the night before, and he came back, and he said what was impressive was his work rate off the ball, but also his movement off the ball. And like Liam alluded to earlier on, just for the goal, but just his ability and his intellectual, just to find pockets of space really, really at ease. To be honest with you, the first game to play as well as he did, just to keep on finding these little pockets of space, and he's normally left-footed, and so you had he was playing on the right side as the 10, just in behind. You had Twine on the other side, a right footer playing on the left, and obviously then that allowed Twine for the pass to play in on the right, to play the pass in with his right foot for the goal. But Yeah, no, he looks a player. He really does. I mean, he should have scored as well, to be honest. He put the goalkeeper down on his backside and took a little bit too longer there. But it's noticeable as well. He was taking the free kicks and corners yesterday, Liam, wasn't he? I mean, he took on the Yakerson corner as well. He took that and put it right in his head. But his movement for the third goal was just unbelievable. I mean, what I like about it was he actually ran past Twine, who had the ball. He literally broke his neck and he carried on running. And he knew exactly what he was doing. He obviously knew he had a little look where Reece was, and he carried on running. And then he made a diagonal run rather than a straight run. And what it does, it took Coyle, the captain, with him, and the centre back to one side, stepped to the right, and then suddenly realised it's just that split, like literal yard where the defender went one way, and then it gave Twine the time and the space then to pick the pass. But I think what was noticeable when they were celebrating Reece's goal, Twine and Reece made a point of going over to him and because they acknowledge how intelligent that run was. But yeah, he looks ridiculous. He really did at times. So it really bodes well. And it all of a sudden in the space of a week, they say football's a long time in football. A week's a long time, but we're all bemoaning Mehmeti, the loss, but Horvat, I think it all went very quiet, with the comments about Anis. So very, very pleasing.
Yeah, I think Dell's covered it well there, Liam. But anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, what I like is that's after only 2 training sessions with the squad. If he can be like that after only like 2 or 3 days in the building, what's he going to be like given 2 or 3 months when he's starting to build those connections with the players that are playing with him? He's just going to go another level. I think for us to be able to attract a player of that caliber that's played Champions League, that's played Europa, I think it's a fantastic signing, and it hopefully he will stay injury free, and it'll give us that extra bit of quality and push that we desperately needed.
Yeah, there was another player which some fans were saying to both of you that deserved credit for the win yesterday. One you read says much better performance today, but you've got to hand it to Joe Williams. God knows how long out, and he comes on and puts in a brilliant crunching tackles. What a man. Anyone, I wasn't the only one, of course, to say that as well. This one here. It says he was our modern day Norman Hunter. Do you agree, Liam?
Yeah, we've massively missed his bite, his energy. It's just he's the type of player that would run for a brick wall for his team and his teammates. And at times this year, we've been a bit cowardly with not tackling. Williams is not that player. Williams will he'll just go full-blooded every single time. And yesterday when he came on with, I can't remember how long left he had to go, but he hadn't played since May. That's the first time Struber's seen him play. So to come on and be able to play like he did, great tackles over by the touchline. Within the space of 5 seconds, he won the first one, got up, won the second one. And I think he won a free kick as well and got one of their players. But he just rattles people. Not in a bad way, but because he's so physical with what he does, he's definitely a player I'd rather have in my team than playing against. We really missed him this season. And the fact that Knight was injured yesterday, he got his chance to come on and get back to playing.
Yeah, I mean, so many good performances yesterday. I love all the squirrel memes that are coming out as well. Absolutely. Well done, admin as well. Bristol admin for doing lots of stuff for the squirrel. Yes, I mean, did it give you an advantage, Del? I mean, you had 10 minutes to hang on at the end there. I mean, some would argue that actually, if sort of equalised, you could have blamed the squirrel for all the added time.
Yeah, I mean, the thing was actually, to be honest with you, it would just happen literally not far after we scored the third goal. And actually, in a way, it actually took a little bit out of our momentum, I thought, watching it. Obviously, like I said, I wasn't there, but I actually felt that we were so in the ascendancy then, and the momentum, when we were really in control. Actually, that break of play actually disrupted us a bit.
Yeah, I'd totally agree.
And we weren't as flat of nowhere, and then we were hanging on. But I thought the way we sorted out was really impressive. I thought, and like Liam said there, I thought the introduction of Joe Williams was really instrumental. And I thought as well yesterday, not just his goal, but Rob Atkinson. That he is so big for us because he gives us that balance. He's a left footer on the left side defence, but also he gives us that physicality, defending set pieces, and just he's very more compact than if we've got a fullback playing on the left side of defence. And I think Dickey plays better when Rob Atkinson's alongside him as well. So it was great to see him back there yesterday as well.
Brilliant. Okay. Yes, Chris says, well done, boys. Great response after last week. Up the Squirrel Reds, yeah. And of course, Liam was still in the hunt for the playoffs. Where do you see this going now? There's so many teams, isn't there? In that mix.
What has killed us this year is consistency. If you go back from when we played our first game with Sheffield United, there's not a real good run of results. It always seems to be win a couple, draw a couple, then we lose a couple, then we win one, draw one again, then we lose. We need to hit, especially now, like you said, you look at Millwall, they've pulled just a little bit of a gap. We're 7 points behind fifth. Now, it doesn't sound a lot. It's 3 games. But those 3 games, anything can happen in a championship. But I really do think if we're going to push up and get the playoffs, it's fighting for 6th place again. And we're going to be in that position of reliant on results in and around us. We have to take all the noise out of it and just focus on what we're doing. We can't afford to have any more games like last Friday against Derby or Oxford. We have to be 100% just playing as a team. When we do that, we prove we can beat anyone in the league. Admittedly, Hull the only team in the top 6 that we beat this season. But it just shows on our day we are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, such a good result. Before we move on, just want to say a massive thank you to everyone last week who commented on the video. So many of these great ones to read out. We, of course, asked you for the worst manager and things like that. Michael Thresher, thank you, Michael, said, worst managers, the ones the guys missed, Sean O'Driscoll. And the way he bounced off the bottom of the 4th division, featuring the manager, Roy Hodgson, was terrible. In terms of overhead kicks, we'll get to this one in a minute. Said to myself, says Nicky Maynard, away to QPR. Steve Brooker scored one from outside the area that was an absolute beast as well. And thank you, Lee Church, as well. You were talking about the semi-final, of course. He says, I remember being there waving my inflatable Joe Jordan tooth. I'm sure the younger fans will say Max O'Leary, but as an older fan, I'm going to say Russell Osman for the O, not A to Z a little bit later on. Brilliant. Thank you for all the comments. We know there's longer Bristol City podcasts which you can probably download and listen to, but we really enjoy making this content for you. If you can squeeze 20 minutes in each week to give us a listen, please, that'd be absolutely amazing. Drop us a sub and a like if you haven't yet done so already. Right, on to our next category then, which is the transfer window slammed shut on Monday after we spoke to you. So we need to ask you for your gradings on it, please, 1 to 10. Now, last week on here, somebody said if you sold Viner to Wrexham, there'd be a riot outside Ashton Gate. Del, he went. Were you annoyed?
Yeah, well, yeah, frustrated, I think, to be honest with you. You know, that our best players keep leaving. I mean, I know when the Premier League comes calling, it's difficult, but when they go to fellow Championship clubs, that stings a little bit, really, because then it feels that, you know, we're a bit of a stepping stone sometimes. And then, you know, when you hear Annis and Viner both saying the fact, you know, in their interviews when they're joining the new clubs, the fact they've joined to, you know, because they want to go to the Premier League, that does, you know, a bit of a kick in the stomach, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's frustrating. The Viner one, I think, for me personally, he's a local lad, but I think to replace him, you know, is a bit of a toughie, to be honest with you, because he's played in so many good positions. But yeah, I mean, that one, I mean, this new lad that we've got now, is it Noah? I can't pronounce his surname. Is it? I don't know.
I
don't know pronounce his surname.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's you know, obviously time will see. He might be a really good acquisition. But the Viner one, really, yeah, that's a bit of a killer for me, to be honest with you, because you know, like I said, I think he's one of our, you know, to replace him, you're looking at playing sort of between 3 and 5 million. But yeah, I mean, only time we'll tell if we've improved the squad or you know, we're the same or we're worse off. But I think Horvat, I think obviously the early signs are good, but I don't think for me, again, the number 9, for me, it still hasn't been resolved. And I don't think we've improved, a striker-wise, to be honest. I hope I'm wrong. But that for me still feels like it's unresolved.
If you were to grade it then, Del, 1 to 10, what would you give it?
5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Liam,
5.
has that been too nice?
It's a difficult one. I agree with what Dale's saying. To lose the likes of Viner and Mametti, and like he said, you watch the interviews that they've put out with the other clubs. They both state ambition and project, and they want to do this and that. I think those are the two obvious ones. I think with the rest of them going, like you've got the O'Learys. Struber was pretty honest with him. He doesn't see him as a number 1. So to get the likes of him, Roberts, Cornick, who else was there? There's a few others like out of contracts at the end of the season. To get them off the wage bill now probably has helped us getting in the new lad from New York Red Bull and Horvat, because the wages are probably a little bit more than, especially Hovath. He's got to be on a decent wage. Now, saving all the money on those wages that we're not paying now and getting little transfer fees for them, I think has helped in that long run. But if you look at it wholeheartedly, we've let 10 go. Admittedly, not all of them permanent. You've got the likes of Stokes, Morrison, Thomas, Hirakawa, all that now. I know Cornick's alone, but we won't see him again. They'll all come back to the club. And we brought in 6 players. So we've balanced the books in a way. So I don't think it's as bad as how it looked. I think deadline day was a massive thing for us. If we hadn't got Horvat over the line and we hadn't brought this defender in, we would be an absolute meltdown. And I think you'd hear more shoutings of sack the board and all this sort of stuff that you were hearing the other week. I wouldn't have gone quite low as 5. I'm going to go a little bit higher with a 6. Not much different. But this new lad that we've signed to replace Vino will be an interesting one. He's 23, 6'5". He plays the Struber way as such because he's part of the Red Bull group, so he's used to the way we play football. I don't think he'll come straight in because he hasn't played since September because of the timings of the leagues is very different. But he came on yesterday. Look, I mean, we didn't see much of him, but he's a big lad. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he doesn't mind putting himself in there when he needs to. So I'm hoping he comes good, and we can see him. If we're going to stick with the 3, if it was me and we had a fit McNally, it'd be him, McNally, and Atkinson.
Okay. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, particularly on this one. Yeah, any higher than a 6 out of 10 for you? Let us know. I doubt we'll get any, but yeah. You think they've been too stringent? Let us know.
Sorry, Mark, to jump in. I was just thinking, sorry, Mark, to jump in. I was just saying, with going with the 5, I think someone made a point the other day. I was listening online, and someone made the point about the fact that we always leave it to the last day of the window. And I think if we'd have got these guys in a little bit earlier, because we've had some really awful results in January, and I think we'd have got Horvat in earlier, and this other guy as well, because it would have given him time to settle in. We've had an awful January. I don't think the uncertainty around Anis and Viner's helped. And if it all came to head again with Derby, but I just think we'd have got those guys in a bit earlier and been a little bit more proactive instead of reactive. I think it would have helped us in January as well.
I do ultimately think though, if Viner and Mametti hadn't gone, we wouldn't have signed the 2 that come in. I think it was a very like you just said, it was a very reactive scenario because as soon as Viner was. It was good. I mean, you watched what he said. He was up there before even the weekend. I think Thursday night, he was told to go up there Friday morning for a medical. So by Friday, he was already out the building. Now, we had that result against Derby, and then bang, these reports were coming out with signing this lad for $3.5 million from New York. So that deal came around very quickly because he was on his way to Denmark 2 days prior. So that came around very quickly. I agree with the Bergzorg thing. Sorry, Mark. With the Bergzorg thing, because that run went on way too long. That should have been done on the first day, regardless, because they've been chasing him for months. So I do agree it was very reactionary. reactive rather than proactive.
It'll probably anger you a little bit more, but our Wrexham podcaster who does our Where Red Dragons Walk podcasts was watching the game in a bar in Wrexham, and Viner was sat watching Derby against Bristol City on the big screen in a bar in Wrexham, which is just mad.
I did see that.
Absolutely mad. Right, and of course he gets to come back, of course, in next Tuesday night as well. I can only imagine what the reception might be. Right, Port Vale then this weekend, back in the lovely town of Burslem in Stoke-on-Trent, where I'm from. Would you take a loss to Vale, Del, as long as you could beat Wrexham and Swansea? If I could give you a double header over those two, would you take an embarrassment out of the cup?
No, I mean, to be honest, you want the momentum to carry on. I mean, obviously the Wrexham game is probably on paper more important, but I think psychologically you don't want to lose to a team that's no disrespect at bottom of them and fighting for their lives. So I think we just want to keep the momentum going, to be honest with you, and try and get the win. There's no excuses really. We should be going there looking to win. And we got Max Bird that should be back, which is going to got Joe Williams, got Max Bird. So now really that bench is looking really strong now, and the squad. So the only injury now we've got is McNally. So we're looking good on paper now. We need to be going there looking for the win. Absolutely.
Of course, that game falls on Valentine's Day, so it's got us thinking about love, and in particular, who was the first player which you ever fell in love with as a Bristol City fan? Liam, when you were a young nipper, who would that be for you?
Do you know, I remember my first few times going to watch, and there was two players that stuck out for me. Greg Goodridge on the right wing, the Bermudan. He was lightning quick, just direct, what to take a defender on. And I like Mickey Bell. Left foot, played left back, eye for a goal every now and again. And obviously you got the legend that is Tinian. Tinian playing like he did. It's those three for me when I first started watching. They were good.
Dill?
I'm a bit older than Liam now, so yeah. So Super Bob Taylor, he was absolutely incredible. I think he scored 34 goals in one season, and he still got injured. I think he was injured at the end of March, so he probably hit 40 goals. But he was for £50,000 from Leeds. He was a brilliant player. Alan Walsh, who probably some of the older fans will know. And then obviously a little bit later, probably about 4 or 5 years later, Jack Anowski. Absolutely brilliant guy from Celtic, who obviously liked the nightlife off the pitch, but what an incredible player. I think we had him for 18 months. Jackie Anowski, he was an incredible talent, absolutely brilliant player, but the ball would just stick to his feet, and fans from other clubs watching him would just comment as well how good he was. But yeah, he was a superb player.
Okay. Let us know in the comments who is the one player that you fell in love with, or the player that broke your heart, of course, when they left. Thanks for that, you two. Finally, this week we're on to letter O, probably the most difficult one we've had so far in our A to Z. We've already had Lee Churches on, as we mentioned before, suggest Russell Osman and Max O'Leary. Any others that should get in ahead of any of them?
Can I go first, Dave? I'm gonna throw it out there.
Yeah, go on.
My time watching, I like watching Bradley Orr. Thought he was a good right back.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Bradley Orr.
Yeah, so he could play centre midfield if needed to. But yeah, he was a solid right back for us. Obviously, Scouser. So he's another Joe Williams kind. So didn't mind a tackle, put himself about. So yeah, the only other ones I could think of that were never going to get in there was O'Dowda. I wasn't going to put him in.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I think Cardiff did put him in. Del?
No, Liam stole my thought. I was going to go for Bradley Orr. Brilliant player. Helped get us to the playoff final in 2008. And obviously, another famous moment was when he got set off had a fight with Lewis Carey on the pitch, his own teammate.
Yeah, I remember. That.
But yeah, no, he's a fantastic player. Played with his heart on his.
Who do you reckon
And was
won
one, I
that
remember
fight,
as well. I think he got jailed as well, didn't he? Yeah, he got jailed with a fight in a nightclub, didn't he? I think him and Steve Brook and someone else. There were three of them that got sent down for a few months. But yeah,
wasn't it?
But yeah, wonderful player. Yeah, I can't.
Was that the night Lee Rolita beat Brooker up?
I can't remember. I think it was Steve Brooker. And I
think we got the gist of that. I think we're losing you there at the moment. Right. Thank you very much, you two. No overhead kicks though going in then. So yeah, Bradley. We'll put Bradley Orr into the A to Z of Bristol City up to letter P next week then. So join us for that. We're also reviewing Port Vale. Hopefully Port Vale won't be going in as maybe a bad memory. Fingers crossed. We'll see you then next week. Drop us a sub and a like if you haven't already done so. And thank you so much for all your company this week on Rare Robin's Walk up the Squirrel.